studies now find that COVID-19 is being linked to strokes in young adults. I'm joined now by Dr. Timothy Quinn. He's here to offer a bit of insight on this. Dr. Quinn, tell us what this is all about.
Well, this is very alarming. Basically, what's going on is there's a lot of research going. There's a lot of data coming in where young individual adults, age average from 30 to 50 years old, that don't have any pre-existing conditions that would cause someone to have a stroke, are showing up in emergency rooms all over the world with strokes. And what's very interesting is these young individuals have the COVID-19 infection. So the researchers are really looking more deeply into it, and they're finding characteristics of this virus that's brand new, very unusual characteristics for a virus that cause a person, such as a young person, to be more susceptible to having a stroke.
Can you tell what are some of those conditions? Now, remember, I don't know nothing about medicine, so kind of keep it down on my level.
Right. Well, basically, the interest in the United States really stemmed from a hospital in New York, Mount Sinai, and this neurosurgeon was experiencing patients showing up in the ICU with strokes. And as I said, they have no pre-existing conditions, meaning they don't have high blood pressure, they don't have heart disease, they've never had a stroke. They don't have any of the history that would make you think that they would have a stroke. And typically, this population don't have stroke. No. What's going on is they're learning that when an individual gets infected with the COVID-19 infection, in a lot of cases, the research is pointing to the fact that there's a high probability that there's inflammation in the bloodstream, the body trying to fight off the infection, but it makes the person more hypercoagulable, meaning that their blood is more susceptible to forming blood clots that can lead to strokes.
Wow.
Now, another interesting fact was the history of these individuals that had the strokes. A lot of them had mild to moderate symptoms. Now, the World Health Organization, along with the CDC, has repeatedly put out that young individuals that contract this virus, in a lot of cases, don't have many symptoms like these stroke victims. And the problem is they don't know they have the infection. They're having symptoms of a stroke. And because they don't know they're sick, they'll delay treatment. And in some cases, this could be too late.
Well, I had heard that inflammation was a byproduct of this thing that was very dangerous. And so this younger population, if they have these mild symptoms that they might normally ignore, then maybe they should go ahead and get those checked out then, huh?
Well, what the scientific community is hoping to convey to the general public is, now that we know that if someone contracts this virus, and we also know that that individual, especially if they're young, might not have the typical symptoms of what we assume that someone with COVID-19 would have, if you start having symptoms that suggest a stroke, even though you've never had a stroke or any conditions that would lead to a stroke, do not delay seeking treatment, such as numbness or tingling in the face or the extremities, slurred speech. Call 911 immediately and don't delay, because you could very well be having a stroke, such as these individuals around the world having these strokes. And the deal is, with a stroke, delaying treatment just a matter of minutes can be the difference between life and death.
Real quickly, I guess having the symptoms of a stroke, in this case, take the aspirin too, take the baby aspirin?
Well, basically, yes, go ahead and take the aspirin, but even before you take the aspirin, with the scientists and the physicians, and what we're hoping to convey to the listening audience, if you start having symptoms of a stroke and you say, hey, I'm young, I don't have any problems, it's probably nothing, don't assume that. You could very well have COVID-19 infection and be one of those people that are young and don't have any upper respiratory tract symptoms, so you don't know you have COVID-19, but the problem is on the inside of your body, your blood is hypercoagulable and you're actually having a stroke. Yeah. That's why it's so important. If you think you're having any symptoms, and I repeat the symptoms, you might have slurred speech, severe headache, numbness or tingling in your arms or leg, or even weakness in one side of your body, don't delay. Call 911.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Quinn. I appreciate that.
Individuals who are young can be having strokes if they have this infection and not know they have the infection. now there's a high probability, or at least a higher probability, that you might be having a stroke, and you don't want to delay treatment. Because as I said, if you're having a stroke, a delay in evaluation and treatment can be the difference between life and death.
Great information, as always. Thank you, Dr. Quinn.